A lot of people that are watching this, they may not be aware of the growing popularity of spraying a house, say, or spraying your kitchen cupboards rather than having a complete kitchen refit and all that. So what's changed in the market to make this the right time for spraying?
I think a lot of it is down to quality. For example, I went to see a prospect the other day, and he had inquired about painting. He didn't realise this was an option. This has been around for quite some time, but people still aren't aware of it. So when I explained to him that we can paint if you want, however, we can offer spraying, and this is why we would offer spraying, he was like, I had no idea you could do that. And it sounds great, and that's what he's bought into now, because it's it's more durable, it's longer lasting, it's more cost effective, and it provides a much better finish.
I'm just interested in that reaction. When you first turn and you go, right, we're going to spray your kitchen cupboards or your caravan. I've seen you spray a caravan. Yeah. Recently sprayed an aeroplane fuselage. So what's the average reaction of when you turn up to a job?
Well, this particular guy, he was he looked completely confused. So I explained it's paint, but it's not your B&Q off the shelf type of paint. It's a specialist industrial paint that's designed for this purpose. We offer a 10-year guarantee with it, which you're not going to get off Fred and his brush. And the reaction is confusion. I think they just don't get it. You associate spraying with vehicles and so on and so forth. And to be honest, when I first got into this, I was the same. I was like, what are you spraying? Like, how can you spray this paint? But it's because it's not your standard type of stuff that's sprayed. It's specifically made for this. If
you imagine, like, every industry's got an enemy, right? So, for example, my previous life, I was in the fitness industry, and the enemy was like terrible Instagram posts and just misleading information on Instagram. What would be the enemy of the spray industry or the painting industry?
Some of the sprayers themselves. So the people that are aware of spraying, I do a lot of the selling and the booking in and speaking to customers, and the people that I do come up against, some people have had bad experiences. Someone's gone in with, they think they can spray. They've gone in, made an absolute mess, and this stuff, the reason you get a 10-year guarantee is it doesn't come off. So if they make a mess, it's then set the rotting for people when I'm trying to pitch to people who might be interested in spraying. They've had a bad experience, and they might not have had that with a decorator, because decorating is slower. It's easier to do. Anybody can pick a paintbrush up and have a go. Whereas this, you need to know how to use specialist equipment. You need to know how to the mixing ratios. There's a science to it, which you can't just pick up a spray gun and spray. It doesn't work.
All right, so let's dive into like the biggest benefits of like using spray as opposed to like a conventional brush, roller, that kind of thing. Or even let's just zoom out a little bit. What are the benefits of getting a company in to do the painting? Because I suppose a lot of people might be in the mindset of like, well, I'll just do it myself.
One of the biggest things is the cost effectiveness. So, for example, I'll use a kitchen, for example. Average kitchen, you're looking at £7,000-8,000 to replace. Our average cost of spraying a kitchen is around 900. So if the units themselves are in good condition, they're not water damaged and falling apart, as long as you think that they're going to last for another good few years, you get the same 10-year guarantee. So, we can completely transform and modernise a kitchen for, a fifth of the price. So that's one of the biggest benefits. And another thing is the minimal disruption. So it might take you 2 weeks to have your kitchen ripped out and replaced, whereas we can be, most times, and depending on the size of the kitchen, we can be in and out in a day. So we turn up, we'll mask up, we'll prep everything, we'll spray the kitchen, we'll take everything down, and then we're gone. And you've got your new kitchen within a day, and you've not had to disrupt your life.
I think I can get where you're coming from there, because I think, having had my kitchen done in the past, actually I was all right with my cupboards and I was all right with my layout. It was just the doors were looking dated, they were a little bit battered. You got some water damage on your kickboards and that kind of thing, but, just a little revamp to spray it, especially if you can turn it around in a day or two. Yeah, I can see the benefit of that.
Another benefit that we promote is the eco-friendliness. So, ripping your kitchen out, replacing it with everything, new sink, new fridge, freezer, all that kind of stuff, whatever you want to do, it is quite wasteful on resources. Whereas you're leaving your kitchen in, we're turning up we're saving all that waste. And the only waste we produce is the masking paper, which we know gets recycled anyway. So it's quite eco-friendly in comparison to replacing your kitchen entirely.
And I suppose, you've mentioned a couple of times already that it's much longer lasting than sort of your average, paint layer with a brush. So that'd be a benefit as well, that the longer lasting finish.
Yeah, of course. Again, it's anything we spray comes with a 10-year guarantee, and it's manufacturer backed. That's not just something we say. It's a manufacturer backed. As long as we apply the paint and the hardener and the thinners and everything in the method that the manufacturer says. If anything was to fail and we didn't honour that warranty, the manufacturer will anyway.
And just talk to me about like the range of colours, because I suppose in my mind I'm sort of thinking, well, how limited am I to a certain colour type? Am I limited to a certain type of paint itself, a certain brand? What's like the range available to a customer?
We don't use branded paints, so it's not something we go and buy off the shelf. It's a specialist type of paint that is mixed to the colour of your choice, and you can. The choice is literally unlimited. We recommend using the RAL colour charts, which are a standardised industry standard colours that they're very easily matched. But we can match things like Farrow and Ball, Valspar, Dulux, Little Green, any colour you want. And we did one recently actually where we couldn't track down the colour was from Howden's, the kitchen manufacturer, and this lady wanted that colour in particular. So we took a door away and we got it scanned by our supplier. They scanned it and they matched that paint. So you can have whatever you want.
And what about finish? Could you have a matte finish, satin finish, silk finish? Is there like a textured finish?
Matte, satin or gloss. Each of those has their own benefits and disadvantages, especially where kitchens are concerned. So, we try to move towards satin and gloss with kitchens, because matte it's difficult to maintain, and you're obviously wiping your kitchen down quite a lot. You can rub the finish off. Matte, satin and gloss are the main finishes we use.